What's up guys, Virgil here for JRPG Central, and today we're going to be talking about Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. I've put about 15 hours into the game, and I want to give some of my initial thoughts and impressions on the Definitive Edition thus far. So without any further ado, let's just jump right into it. So for context, I have played the first half of this game at least twice before, but never beat it. Allow me to explain. The first time was on the Wii. I bought it at launch and was completely obsessed with it. Its scale and its verticality were just, quite frankly, mind-blowing for the Wii, and it honestly, to this day, playing the Definitive Edition now, it still impresses me that largely this is what ran on the freaking Wii, which was just a souped-up GameCube, which just makes it even more crazy. But I found the world and the concepts so intriguing. The game sets up with many questions and mysteries that you assume will slowly be answered over the course of the game, and I just loved every bit of what I played. And then somewhere along the way, for whatever reason, life happened and I just never got back to it. Fast forward a little bit and I now have a gaming PC and decide to try to emulate the game and finish it. But when I try to find my original save and move it over, I can't. I don't know if it was when I transferred my Wii data to my Wii U, but either way, it was gone and I had to start all over, which I did. I get a little further this time than I did originally, but I ended up selling my gaming PC for some extra money. This time though, I kept my save file, knowing that one day I would beat this damn game. Fast forward again to the 3DS version's release. I thought, this is it. This is the time I'm finally going to beat this game. And then it looked like this. I actually made it pretty far in the 3DS version, almost as far as I did in my emulated playthrough. But after a certain point, I knew that this wasn't the way I wanted to play the game. Having it as a portable was nice on one hand, but on the other, the resolution of the 3DS, coupled with the small screen of a portable device, didn't really do justice to the scale of Xenoblade Chronicles' world and story. Which leads us to Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. This was my chance to right this wrong and finally see this game through to the end. So yeah, I may be the most qualified person ever to give a first impressions of Xenoblade Chronicles, because I've played the first half of this game many times now. So onto the game itself. This is one of those games that certainly blurs the line between remake and remaster. On one hand, much of the game has been completely changed, from the UI to the character models, textures, and even the music has an all-new arrangement. But on the other hand, you still have those janky PS2 era animations at times, and the overall polygonal detail of some models, specifically NPCs, is still very much of that era. I think that's why I really appreciate the Definitive Edition moniker for this game, because with the improvements to the UI, the quality of life changes, the bonus content added to the base game, as well as the epilogue added, this truly is the definitive version of the game. There's really no reason to go back to the original now that this exists. At first, I was a bit disappointed in the art style of the new character models' faces. While the original lacked detail, they had a certain style and charm to them. The comparison to Vagrant Story gets thrown around a lot, and it's a very accurate comparison. But once I started playing and getting into the story again, my apprehension towards the facelift the characters got quickly turned into astonishment. I was blown away at how good these new models looked at times, and on up-close shots specifically, all I could think is, wow, this shot probably looked awful in the original, and if you go back, it really does sometimes. I think the only thing I would classify as a true downgrade from the original is the battle portraits on the left-hand side. In the original, they were these very beautiful, hand-drawn looking portraits, while here they are seemingly just shots of the character models themselves. And the fire animation behind the portraits for when the character's tension is high is also not nearly as aesthetically appealing to me. But that's it. I can't think of any other way that this port isn't a vast improvement over the original in every single way. And just imagine where this game will be once the Switch emulation scene gets it running smoothly. At that point, it will truly be the definitive version of the game. So now would probably be a good time to touch on the resolution of the game, which I know a lot of people have some concerns about after that data mine showed the ranges the resolution can move between, some of which were alarmingly low. If you want a much more detailed look at the performance and resolution of the game, I highly recommend you check out Digital Foundry's video on the subject. I'll have it linked down below for you to watch, after you watch this video, of course, duh. Also, I have to point out that this YouTube video you're watching right now, as well as any other video you watch, really does not do this game justice. It looks much better on my TV than even in my own recording. I don't know if that's due to my TV's own upscaling or the fact that the footage is compressed once when I render out my video and then compressed once again by YouTube once I upload it. But yeah, every bit of footage I've seen on this game, including my own, really doesn't hold a candle to seeing it in person. I have a very good eye for this sort of thing, and I can be pretty picky when it comes to resolution and frame rate. And while yes, there are minor dips in frame rate here and there, and yes, the resolution is 720p in docked and below that in handheld, I think both look and perform very well. And I think both fare better than Xenoblade Chronicles 2 did in docked and handheld. So if that's something that is worrying you about this port, I really wouldn't let it, because it's still an incredibly stunning game. And any video you see online, again, really doesn't paint an accurate picture. I was going to make a graphics comparison video before I realized, one, again, wouldn't really do it justice, and two, there are a lot of people who got the game early who have already made those videos, so those are out there if you want to see them. As mentioned before, this game has a lot of little quality of life improvements and fixes over the original. Here are a list of just some of my favorites. I love that a little exclamation mark pops up on your arts whenever you're in the best position to use them. Like backslash, for example, where it will mark when you are directly behind the enemy. As when battles start to get hectic or when you're facing a particularly large enemy, it can be kind of difficult to see when you're in the sweet spot to do the proper damage. So that's a really nice addition. There are also now markers for blue orbs on the map that you need for certain quests, which is much appreciated as well. Speaking of quests, you can now set quests as an active quest and track them, something I felt the original was sorely missing. Visual equipment and stat equipment are now separated, meaning that you can have the great stats of all your best gear without looking like a total doofus. One of my favorite quality of life changes, however, are the amount of options the game gives you. You can choose what notifications you want on or off, and for what, so if you don't like the newer changes to notifications, you can tailor them to your liking. But my two favorite options they give you are the ones that I think are the most intelligent and thoughtful. First is the ability to change the sound levels between each aspect of the game. It even goes as far as to separate cutscene voice volume and game voice volume, meaning you can decrease all of that battle chatter while still being able to listen to the cutscenes, which is fantastic. The second appreciated option is the ability to toggle between the new soundtrack and the old for both the field music and the battle music individually. This is perfect for someone like me, as I'm very partial to the original versions of the battle theme, and you will know our names. But I have found every new arrangement of field theme or town music to be an almost clear upgrade. So to have the option to have some music be the old soundtrack and some music be the new soundtrack is such an unexpected and appreciated option for sure. So if you're on the fence about this version of the game, is it worth it, is it not? To me, it is completely worth it. The quality of life changes would be enough on their own, but the visual upgrades, along with the new soundtrack, really push it over the edge as the true definitive edition of the game. If you've never played it before, or like me, ran into issues finishing the game on previous platforms, I can't imagine a better time to jump into the world of Xenoblade Chronicles. Anyway, that's going to do it for this first impressions video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to hit the like button, because when you do, it blesses this video with that sweet, sweet algorithmic blessing. I don't know that algorithmic is a word, but now it is. Anyway, it blesses it, and it puts it in front of more people's faces, which in turn helps the channel grow, so I would appreciate it if you did that. Also, be sure to hit subscribe if you're not subscribed already, And if you are subscribed already, 1, I love you. 2, maybe hit that bell if you're feeling a little extra kind today. If not, cool. It's cool. But I'll love you more if you do. Just saying. Just throwing that out there. Just throwing it out there. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a great day, and I will catch you guys in the next video.